For most people, changing your name is a deeply personal choice. It usually happens quietly, without attracting headlines or public attention. But when your father is one of the biggest movie stars in the world, even the smallest decision can become international news. That's exactly what happened when new public records revealed that Suri Cruise is now legally known as Suri Noel. There was no emotional interview explaining the decision, no carefully planned announcement on social media, no magazine cover telling her side of the story. Instead, the change was discovered through official records, catching many people completely by surprise. Almost overnight, questions began spreading across the entertainment world. Why now? Why leave behind one of Hollywood's most recognizable last names? And why choose a name connected to her mother instead? While only Suri truly knows the answer, the decision has reopened years of discussion about one of Hollywood's most private family stories. Suri was born in April 2006 during one of the most closely watched celebrity relationships of the era. As the daughter of Tom Cruise and Katie Holmes, she spent her earliest years surrounded by photographers and constant media attention. Every public appearance made headlines, and every family outing became front-page news. But everything changed in 2012 when Katie Holmes filed for divorce. Their separation immediately became one of the biggest entertainment stories in the world. And from that point forward, Suri's life became much more private. Over the following years, Holmes largely kept her daughter away from the spotlight, choosing a quieter life in New York while focusing on giving Suri as normal an upbringing as possible. Although public interest never disappeared, Suri herself rarely spoke to the media. As she grew older, she appeared focused on school, friends, and eventually preparing for college instead of embracing celebrity life. That silence is part of what makes this recent development so fascinating. Instead of making a public statement, she allowed the paperwork to speak for itself. According to public records that later drew widespread media attention, she is now legally using the name Suri Noel. Noel is also Katie Holmes' middle name, making the choice feel especially meaningful to many observers. Still, it's important to remember one thing. Neither Suri nor her family has publicly explained the reason for the change. Everything beyond the confirmed legal records remains personal, and any interpretation should be viewed as speculation rather than fact. Even so, the timing has sparked enormous curiosity for someone who has spent nearly her entire life avoiding interviews and public controversy. Making such a significant legal change without saying a single word naturally leaves people wondering what inspired it. Was it simply a personal preference? Was it a way to create her own identity as she enters adulthood? Or was it something much more personal that only she understands? At this point, only Suri knows the answer. What makes the story even more interesting is that this wasn't actually the first sign that she was moving away from the Cruise surname. Long before the legal paperwork became public, there were subtle clues that most people completely overlooked. Looking back now, those moments seem far more significant than anyone realized at the time, and once you put all those pieces together, it becomes clear that this decision may have been years in the making. When news broke that Suri was legally using the name Suri Noel, many people assumed it was a sudden decision. But, as reporters began looking back, they discovered something surprising. The change hadn't happened overnight at all. In fact, the signs had been there for quite some time. One of the earliest public clues appeared during Suri's high school years. While taking part in school theater productions, she was credited as Suri Noel instead of using the surname the world had known since her birth. At the time, very few people paid attention. Some believed it was simply a stage name. Others assumed she wanted a little extra privacy while performing. Because neither Suri nor her family commented publicly, the moment quickly faded from the headlines. Then came another detail that attracted more attention. When Suri graduated from New York's LaGuardia High School in 2024, the graduation program reportedly listed her as Suri Noel once again. This wasn't just a one-time appearance. It showed that she had already begun presenting herself under the new name before leaving for college. Even then, many people believed it was only symbolic. Some thought It was simply a way to separate her school life from the intense media attention attached to the Cruise name. Others viewed it as a temporary choice that might never become permanent, but later discoveries suggested otherwise. After enrolling at Carnegie Mellon University, where she began studying musical theater, public records eventually confirmed that she was legally using the name Suri Noel. What had once looked like a quiet personal preference now appeared to be a carefully considered decision that had developed over time. Rather than making a dramatic announcement, Suri seemed to let the transition happen naturally. There were no interviews explaining her reasons. No social media posts asking for understanding. No public campaign to draw attention to herself. Instead, she simply moved forward with the identity she had chosen. That quiet approach has become one of the most talked about parts of the story. In today's celebrity culture, major personal decisions are often announced through exclusive interviews or carefully planned social media posts. Suri chose a completely different path. She said nothing at all. That silence has encouraged endless speculation online. But the facts remain fairly simple. Public records confirm the legal name. Her earlier public appearances under Suri Noel show that the transition began well before the paperwork attracted media attention. Everything else, why she made the decision, or what it says about her personal relationships, has never been confirmed by Suri herself. Still, one question continues to follow the story. If this change had been quietly unfolding for years, what was happening behind the scenes during that same period? To understand why so many people connected the name change to her family, it's necessary to revisit a relationship that has remained largely out of public view for more than a decade. Following Tom Cruise and Katie Holmes' divorce in 2012, reports about Tom's relationship with Suri became the subject of constant media attention. While neither father nor daughter has publicly discussed the details in recent years, the lack of public appearances together has fueled ongoing curiosity. The question is simply why Suri changed her name. It's why that decision has led so many people to revisit the history between father and daughter. And that story begins more than 10 years before the name change ever became public. When Tom Cruise and Katie Holmes ended their marriage in 2012, the divorce became one of the biggest entertainment stories of the decade. While the legal proceedings moved quickly, the public's attention soon shifted to another question that would linger for years. What would Tom's relationship with Suri look like going forward? In the years immediately following the divorce, there was no shortage of headlines. Some reports claimed the father and daughter had grown apart, while others suggested those stories were exaggerated. With so much conflicting information, separating fact from rumor became increasingly difficult. One of the most significant moments came in 2013 during a defamation lawsuit involving two tabloid publications. Tom Cruise firmly rejected claims that he had abandoned his daughter, describing those accusations as completely false. According to court testimony reported at the time, Cruise stated that he remained involved in Suri's life and continued supporting her as a father. He also explained that maintaining a relationship after a high-profile divorce wasn't always easy, particularly while balancing an international filming schedule. Those statements became an important part of the public record. However, as the years passed, people continued to notice something that fueled more speculation. Tom and Suri were rarely seen together in public. Unlike many celebrity parents who regularly appear with their children at events or on family outings, public photographs of Tom and Suri became increasingly uncommon. That absence naturally led to countless rumors, but without comments from either father or daughter, very little could be confirmed. Then another moment caught public attention. In 2024, Suri graduated from New York's prestigious LaGuardia High School, an important milestone before beginning college. Katie Holmes was photographed celebrating the occasion, but Tom Cruise was not present. Media reports noted that Cruise was overseas during that period because of professional commitments. His absence immediately became another major entertainment headline, with many commentators questioning whether work had prevented him from attending or whether other personal circumstances played a role. The reality is that no public explanation was ever given. Neither Tom nor Suri commented on the graduation, leaving outside observers to draw their own conclusions, something that often happens when famous families choose privacy over public discussion. That pattern has remained remarkably consistent over the years. While many celebrity families regularly address rumors through interviews or social media, Tom Cruise and Suri have largely avoided discussing their relationship in public. As a result, much of what circulates online is based on speculation rather than confirmed information. What is clear is that Suri has spent most of her life away from Hollywood's spotlight. As of today, one fact is clear: Suri has chosen to move forward under the name Suri Noel. Beyond that, much of the story remains private. Neither she nor Tom Cruise has publicly explained what the name change means, and without hearing directly from them, the reasons behind the decision remain known only to those closest to the family. What we do know is that Suri is stepping into adulthood on her own terms. She's pursuing a career in musical theater, building her resume, and creating an identity that stands apart from one of Hollywood's most recognizable surnames. Whether that choice was motivated by privacy, independence, or something deeply personal, it marks the beginning of a new chapter in her life. For years, the public has tried to understand the relationship between Tom Cruise, Katie Holmes, and their daughter. But like many family matters, the full story is something outsiders can truly know. Public records, photographs, and media reports only reveal part of the picture, while the most important conversations remain private. One thing, however, seems certain: Suri is no longer defining herself by the expectations that came with being born into worldwide fame. Instead, she's allowing her work, her education, and her own decisions to shape the person she wants to become. Only time will tell whether she or her family ever chooses to speak openly about this chapter. Until then, the public can only follow the facts and respect the privacy of those involved. What are your thoughts on Suri Noel's decision? Do you think it's simply a personal step toward independence, or do you believe it reflects a larger change in her life? Share your perspective in the comments below. If you enjoyed this documentary, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss our next in-depth look at the biggest celebrity stories making headlines. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.